Howdy folks, we're going to look at the review for Math 121 for exam 2. So we're going to jump right into the problems. So we're given a set of data that are American airline flights times for taxiing when they after landing for a flight. So these are a bunch of times that they collected. So we're just going to find the mean and all these other different measures. So the first thing we're going to have to do, obviously, if we're going to find the mean, is we need to add them all up. So let's add those up now. So we got, well, 12 and 8 is 20. So we got 20 plus 21 plus 17 plus 12 plus 13 plus 15 plus 14 equals 112. So 112 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that should be 14. So we have 14 minutes. So again, don't forget the units. The units do belong on there as well. Now for the median, we're going to have to put them in numerical order. So let's do that real quick. 8, looks like 12 is next. And we got a couple of those. 13, and we got 14, 15, 17, and 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got them all. All right, so because there's 8, then we're going to have to look at the two middle values. So it looks like we got 13 and 14. So if we average those together, we should get 13.5. So 13.5 minutes. All right. So now for the mode is the most. So which one occurs the most? Or there might be more than one too. But in this case, 12 does occur the most. Nothing else occurs more. So 12 minutes. All right, the mid-range, remember, is going to be the average of the max and min values. So we're going to have to take the 8 plus the 21, divide that by 2. So it looks like 29 divided by 2, which is 14.5. All right, and now the range, remember, is the difference between the maximum and minimum. So we're going to take, 21 and subtract 8, which is 13. All right, so those ones go fairly quickly, depending on how large the data set is, of course. But now the fun part, so finding standard deviation. So now we're going to have to look at our two summations. So remember, these are very important that you keep them straight with what you're doing. So for this first sum, you have to square the number first and then add second. So let's do that. So we want to square each of those numbers. Now, it doesn't matter if you use the original unsorted or your sorted, just pick one and go with that. I'm going to go with the sorted one. So 8 times 8 is 64, so I don't need to square it. Plus 12 times 12 is 144, another 144. 13 times 13 is 169, plus 14 times 14 is 196, plus 15 times 15 is 225, plus 17 times 17 is 289, plus 21 times 21 is 441, equals. So 1672 should be this first sum. Now remember, the second sum is always the easier one to find. And why is that? Because look at the way it's written. You want to first find the sum of x first and then square that result second. So where did we add up all those numbers? We added them all up when we found the mean. So 112 is the sum. So all we have to do is square that result. So 112 squared and I don't know what that is. 12,544. Okay, so those are the two major ingredients that we need for our standard deviation formula. The only other piece we need is n, and we know what n is too. There was 8 numbers in our list, so we got that value as well. So now we can plug everything in. So we got 8 times the 1672 minus the 12,544 all over 8 times 8 minus 1. All right, so let's just break that down a little bit. So we got 8 times 1672 equals that, minus the 12,544 equals that. So we got 832 divided by 8 times 7, I think we know is 56. All right. So now let's divide that by 56. So we want the square root of 14.8571 and change, so we can just square root that. So that looks like 3.8544 and so on. Now, how do we round this? Well, remember, the round off rule says that we always want to carry one extra decimal place minimally than what our data had. So our data didn't have any decimal points, so we minimally need 1. So if you wrote 3.9 minutes, I would take it. If you wrote 3.85 minutes, I would take that too. I would not take if you rounded it to 4 minutes. So 4 minutes would be too much rounding. So you would lose some points on that. So just be careful. So either one of those would be acceptable. All right, coefficient of variation, remember, is a formula. So it is the standard deviation divided by the mean times 100%. So in this case, we're just going to divide. I'm going to use the 3.85 version, and our mean was 14. So let's see what that gives us. 3.85 divided by 14 equals, oh, that's a nice answer. So we should get 27.5%. All right. So the only problem that's really given us a little bit of trouble or a little bit of work is this problem here with standard deviation. So again, as long as there's not a ton of problems or a ton of data values that you're working with, then you should be in good shape. All right, so let's take a look at these last two problems and then we'll cut this video short. What percentile is 17 minutes? So remember, percentiles are based off of sorted data. So you do want to look at your sorted data when you're doing percentiles. Now, for this one, if we want the percentile of 17 minutes, we need to first know how many values are less than the 17 minutes. So if you go back up to your sorted data, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values are less than 17. So that is going to be the top. There was a total of 8 numbers on the bottom. So that would give us, I think we can see this gives us a nice answer of 75. So the 75th percentile, but we can do that in a much more concise notation if we use the P's, so P75. All right, now going the other direction is a little bit more challenging because there's 2 layers to it. So the first layer, though, remember, is to find L. So remember, L is equal to K over 100 times N. And K in this case would be the 15. So we got 15 over 100 times, and there were still 8 values. So again, let's just do it on the calculator to make sure. So we got 15 over 100, which I think we can say is 0.15, times 8 equals 1.2. So we get 1.2 for the value of L. Now, based on the flow chart, it says there's two directions you can go. If L is a whole number or if it's not a whole number. So in this case, it's not a whole number, so you should see that you have to round this up to the next whole number. So in this case, we want to round it up to a 2. So, and then we're done with L. So we want to look at the second value in your sorted list. So again, going back to your sorted list, we can see the second value is a 12. So 12 is our answer. And don't forget the units. So 12 minutes. All right. So that's the end of page 1. We'll stop here and then we'll pick it up in the next video. See you soon.